to advance the agenda of the enemies of America. Sorry to say it, but that's what it looks like to me. There's lots of it, so much of it. And I'm going to end this video very soon. Let me just remind you that Chuck Schumer this whole time, and all the way from before Trump was even president, went around making threats to people if they were going to try to take on the intelligence agencies. Remember this?
The latest statement, latest tweet, as you were just saying, the president-elect's latest unsolicited pronouncement on the intelligence community. This was his tweet just a little while ago tonight. You see the scare quotes there. The intelligence briefing on so-called Russian hacking was delayed until Friday. Perhaps more time needed to build a case. Very strange. We're actually told, intelligence sources tell NBC News since this tweet has been posted, that actually this intelligence briefing for the president-elect was always planned for Friday. It hasn't been delayed. But he's taking these shots, this antagonism, this taunting to the intelligence community.
You take on the intelligence community, they have 6 ways from Sunday at getting back at you. So even for a practical, supposedly hard-nosed businessman, he's being really dumb to do this.
What do you think the intelligence community would do if they were motivated?
I don't know, but from what I am told, they are very upset with how he has treated them and talked about them.
Right. Right. It's very stupid. Trump, you don't want to mess with the deep state. Oh, I mean, the upstanding intelligence agencies. You don't want to mess with them. And then we have, like, just all this stuff. All these games going on to try to get rid of him. Culminating in the Capitol riot so that they can trounce on his memory and his supporters' memories for the rest of time. All right. Last piece of the puzzle here. Last part of the dig. John Sullivan, BLM Antifa, adopted son of a PSYOPs guy. Did you know he was also an Olympic athlete? Speed skater. He was also in an ad for Uber. Okay? There's a lot to this guy. But I found this and I find it really like, what? Look at this. He wrote this on LinkedIn about his time training for the Olympics. Through the Eyes of an Athlete by John Sullivan. Look at this paragraph. At the time, I had 2 brothers, James and Peter. James and I were pretty close in age, only a year and a few months separating us. Peter, on the other hand, was 5 years younger than me. At the time, I had 2 brothers, James and Peter. What happened to Peter? What happened to James and John Sullivan's younger brother, Peter Sullivan? It's a mystery. It's a total mystery. And it deserves a whole other dig. And let me just drop this in here. The Sullivan family, when the kids got into speed skating, moved to Utah. Apparently Jack Sullivan, the adoptive father, is Mormon. I only bring this up because there's this whole thing with Utah and the Mormons going over to the Marshall Islands and bringing groups of kids back. Or, as we discovered earlier this year, Paul Peterson of Arizona was working with Utah and Arkansas and Arizona to go to the Marshall Islands, bring pregnant mothers over to the United States, get them to have their babies, and then he'd sell their babies on. Now, I'm not sure, but I mean, I just wonder where the adoptions came from for these 3 boys. These 3 boys, Peter, James, and John. Where did Jack Sullivan get these children from, I wonder? I don't know where he got them. And we need to start asking these questions, I think, because it seems like I just have the instinct that there's something big going on here with adoptions, who people's parents really are, and that sort of thing. Like, for example, John Sullivan is an Olympic skater. There's videos out there of him skating in the Olympics. And yet I can't find one single photo of his parents. You'd think there'd be some support rinkside, pictures of Jack and whatever his wife's name. We don't even know his wife's name. We don't even know John Sullivan's mother's name. Does that not make you go, This happens a lot when I research people. You get to a dead end with certain folks, and I think they might be intelligence assets. All right, guys, it's been like epically long. I just want to remind you of where we've been because I've gone through so many things. Okay, there's this weird coincidence with, elites in the deep state being in places right before or during horrible tragedies. And we've added one to this with all these deaths that happened right around the same time in Ireland. Right around the same time as Chuck Schumer was threatening that we have ways, you're going to reap the whirlwind, you don't know what'll hit you. And then all these people that deal with youth in Ireland in soccer, they all start dropping dead or getting hit by cars all at the same time. Again, not saying that Chuck Schumer has anything to do with that or it's remotely connected. I'm just saying this is the type of thing that might start happening if you cross the deep state. They can just start offing people who make too much noise, and you get one newspaper story out of it, and that's it. You're forgotten forever. And it just so happens, of course, that 2 Supreme Court justices have adopted children. And there's a lot of speculation about Chief Justice Roberts' adopted children, and maybe that's how they keep getting him to betray conservatives over and over and over with these horrible rulings that never go in our favor. And then it's just a pure coincidence that Jane Sullivan's last name is Sullivan, and that her brother was named John Sullivan Jr., and that a guy called John Sullivan just stormed the Capitol, causing this phony insurrection narrative, which caused the phony impeachment narrative, which caused the phony recusal of John Roberts from that whole deal. And meanwhile, the real court cases are being treated like a farce in Chief Justice Roberts' court, while he approves all the FISA court judges that let the deep state spy on whoever they want. I mean, yes, it's a tangled web. And maybe I am reaching. But I had all this information, and why keep it to myself, I say. Why keep it to myself? This is